All right, everybody. The Iceman here on this Wednesday night. It's like 7:06 p.m. and I'm going to do this hangout for a little bit because I'm going to watch TNA tonight because it is the go home show for Bound for Glory. And this is a wrestling talk show. Basically, yeah, we've all had a lot of opinions about wrestling as of late, and I've recently said it to to other people that I think the product of wrestling has not been as good as could be. Um, and when it comes to talking about the WWE, I'm going to put it out there. Um, you know, Being a John Cena fan that I have for quite some time, it's been like about 10 years, maybe just a little more than 10 years. Um, WWE needs a major shakeup to make their product that much better. And I think one of their major shakeups should be John Cena finally going heel. He gets the booze anyway, no matter what arena he goes to now. He embraces the hate. He knows how to handle the hate, which a lot of other people, you know, on the roster may not be able to do. But yeah, it's time. It's really time, and you know, I think it would take a lot of heat off Cena. Um, and I would love to see John Cena turn heel. We haven't seen a major face that's been a face for a very, very long time in any promotion, changeover since like the days of Hulk Hogan. And for me, it's well worthwhile. I would love to see it. I do have a lot of John Cena fans that will tell me, totally different. But the bottom line is, John has done all he can do is be in a major face. The only issue for him right now, and I know he wanted to do the heel turn. They were going to do it prior, like 3 or 4 years back, and then they stopped it because of his merchandise selling. And I'm going to tell you right now, John Cena, whether he's a heel or he's a face, is going to sell merchandise for the WWE because he's a guy that when you say the name WWE these days, you say the name John Cena. So be that as it may, um, you know, Cena needs a turn heel. It just needs to be done. Cena cannot go on the rest of his career and remain a face. I think it honestly would just get worse and worse. And a heel turn for Cena would like totally shock the WWE world. And this is what the WWE needs today. They need a shock in the most important way. Their viewers are down. Uh, the ratings are obviously down. Obviously, there are a lot of people that still watch the show. 3 hours is way too long for me because I can't get through most of it. Uh, I just feel that they don't have the content to produce a good 3 hour show. And other people were talking about, the Kane situation with Seth Rollins. I think this is probably, for me, I wouldn't mind seeing Kane come away with the WWE World Heavyweight title. When was the last time he had it? I'll be honest with you, off the top of my head, I don't remember. And again, this is another thing that the WWE needs to do. They need shock value, and absolutely, Seth Rollins, as great as he is, the WWE, unfortunately, and it's not Seth Rollins' fault, the WWE has made Seth Rollins a very, very boring champion. And in my eyes, it's something that really needs to change. And until the WWE does decide to make any kind of major moves. We're probably not going to see, anything different happen. But to be quite honest with you, it does need to happen. It does. I mean, I was talking earlier today, we were talking about, someone had mentioned to me about WCW and all this stuff, and they said, oh well, they were around like for 8 or 9 years. No, WCW was not around for 8 or 9 years. WCW was NWA. It was owned by the Crockett's. In the middle to late 80s, Ted Turner bought them out. Crockett's were going down under, but NWA was a better product with the WCW NWA talent at that time. And once Ted Turner bought them out, it took until 96. It took until Eric Bischoff, after 3+ years, was taking control of the company to make something out of WCW. But, before the buyout, NWA was like a far much better product than WCW ever was. And I will honestly say this today. I think NWA was always a better product than what WCW was. But don't get me wrong, I did like WCW. I bought into everything that they did. When I was watching it on a week-to-week basis, when Hall and Nash showed up and then Hulk Hogan showed up and the NWA formed, it was very intriguing. And, I enjoyed it. But when I go back and watch it over again, I realize to myself, I go, wow, you really got into this kind of stuff? Because realistically, NWO dominated WCW. Eric Bischoff was so involved in wanting to destroy Vince McMahon, and he's publicly said it on air back in the WCW Nitro days, that he was so involved in it that I think he lost focus of what he needed to do on his own promotion. And so even if WWE never had their Attitude Era, WCW would end up destroying themselves regardless, because Eric Bischoff would have done it. And, I know he blames Vince Russo for a lot of things, and maybe Vince Russo made a lot of mistakes, but when Vince Russo came in, he tried to make change. He wanted to get away from, the same big stars that Eric Bischoff made, and he tried to make new stars. Obviously, it didn't work. I mean, putting Billy Kidman as champion when he defeated Hulk Hogan, I think was, a little bit over the top. I don't think it was realistic, but I give Vince Russo credit for trying. And then Bischoff came back, and then WCW ended up, dying anyhow. And we've all, in hindsight, now know that it wasn't Vince that destroyed WCW. Realistically, it was when Ted Turner had no longer control. Once Time Warner and the board members and everybody else really controlled WCW, Ted Turner was like a meaningless object. And, he was the guy that, was behind Eric Bischoff for the whole time. But Eric Bischoff, in my eyes, ended up destroying WCW. I think it's unfortunate because I love watching WCW. I thought their content was so much better than the WWF at certain times. But once, I'm going to say this, when it comes to the world of professional wrestling, if it wasn't for the McMahon family, and I'm talking about Vince, I'm talking about Shane, I'm talking about Stephanie, and even Vince's wife, Linda, it wasn't really until they all got involved that the WWE really just, blew into, major stardom. And it was, to me, it was like totally awesome. So, I mean, a lot of people don't understand that. But if you lived it, when I lived it, I guess you would understand it, because I was, I was there. I was living through it all, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, we don't have that nowadays, unfortunately. We had it where, when Hogan came in with Bischoff in 2010 for TNA, everybody's saying, "Okay, here we go. Another WCW is gonna, confront WWE." I knew it wasn't gonna happen. Um, what happens once in life doesn't always happen again, and I just knew it was a bad idea for TNA, and I wish they never, followed through with it. But again, I mean, that's just my opinion. Um, watching wrestling throughout many, many years, I've seen a lot of good things happen. And I've gotten to the point where it's been tough for me to watch wrestling, but I'm trying, what I do? I try to watch some older stuff like from TNA, and it gets me back involved with it again. And that's the reason why, like tonight, I want to watch the TNA Impact show, because it is the go home show for Bound for Glory. And, you know, whether or not it's good, I don't know until I watch it. I'm not going to judge it until I do watch it. And the same thing with Bound for Glory. I'll be watching that as well. And, and I'll make my decision after I watch it. I mean, yeah, maybe the card doesn't have the potential to be anything great, but I look at, what they have, and how they use it. And to me, that means so much, because I look at WWE with what they got and how they use it. And the WWE has so much talent, but we don't very rarely see the talent um, on a continual basis. And they just seem to focus on certain people. But yeah, so I'm into, getting through this weekend. I got, we got the MSG pay-per-view, or the house show, which is going to be on the WWE Network on 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. And then we have Bound for Glory on Sunday. And so I'm looking forward. It's going to be a sort of cool weekend in the world of professional wrestling. But we all, we're not going to get all what we wish for. And I've been saying that for a long time. But again, I will admit that I've been very disappointed in wrestling as of late. Everybody's praising NXT to the point where they act like it's better than WWE, Raw, and all this stuff. But hey, if that's the case, I mean, why aren't these people on Raw? I mean, let's face it. I mean, um, if it's that great, then you bring them up. The NXT does have a lot of good talent. I'm not disputing that, and WWE isn't going to bring everybody up all at once, because then the talent in NXT is depleted. So that means they have to look for other people to come in and take other people's spots, which they have done a pretty good job of. But I for the most part am trying to get back into, like, really getting involved and getting excited over watching wrestling. It's for me, it's just right now, it's just a very hard thing to do. And I honestly, it's tough. It's very, very tough. And until things are done differently, until changes are being made, like I said, WWE could shake up a lot of things. Um, Everybody, is not a fan of Seth Rollins. I think he's a great performer. I think he is the future of the WWE, but does not mean he cannot lose, uh, and cannot lose that title. Let somebody else get it, Let's change it up a little bit. Let's make it more interesting. Let's shock everybody. Let's make it so on a pay-per-view on a Sunday night that the next night on Monday Night Raw, we're all looking forward to watching it. And that is something that the WWE really has not been giving us as of late. Everybody's talking about Lesnar and The Undertaker, or Lesnar and Big Show. Yeah, Lesnar's a big draw. Now, when they have the MSG show on Saturday night, we all know that Rollins and Cena are going to be in a cage for the United States title. If that doesn't main event the show, and if Lesnar and Big Show main event the show, here's my thoughts. Then obviously you don't care about John Cena, but more importantly, you don't care about the guy that's going to be the future of your company if he does not main event the show. You're going to give it to a part-timer that you pay big-time bucks to, and you need to get away from this. You need to get away from bringing back these part-timers. There's been talk about Triple H coming back, maybe working a little more wrestling. I have no issue with that, but again, we're reaching back in the past. You got talent on the roster that you fail to utilize. You fail to make them bigger than what they actually are. We got Neville on there, who's a phenomenal talent. You make him like a loser mid-carder. When he was in NXT, he was a huge champion. So you bring him into the WWE. He had some good matches with Cena. He also had a good match with Seth Rollins. And most of the time now, he ends up losing. Especially on a pay-per-view. And then the next night on Raw, he'll have the same match, and then he'll win. But when it comes to a pay-per-view, they don't give him the consideration or the respect. And I don't understand it, but then again, and same thing with Kevin Owens. The guy's been around for like 15 plus years. The guy has done it all. I thought it was a mistake for them to put Owens right up against Cena right away. I think they did it to try to, get the attention of people. But honestly, did John need to win the third match? Did John need to win the deciding match between these two? No, he didn't. John is already an established star. But the way they developed these matches and how they did it, they made it so that final match that Cena had to win in order to retain. This is where the WWE makes a lot of mistakes. I think their writing and their booking team and their creative team needs to be revamped. Maybe Triple H and maybe Vince McMahon as well needs to, step aside and let somebody new take over. And, I honestly don't know. All I know is the WWE, which is the biggest wrestling promotion here in the United States and probably around the world, is starting to slowly slip away. And a lot of it has to do with no real great competition to make them better. A lot of it has to do with the WWE Network, where they have their $9.99 monthly subscriptions, and they don't rely on their on-demand anymore, which would make them want to make their show that much better, so people would want to pay whatever the price is now on demand. But it isn't to be, and I guess it's just a new era in wrestling, so to speak. So I don't have the answers. I wish I did, but it's just not like how I would like it to be personally. But there's not much I can do about that as well. So I try to go back, and I continually to watch old TNA shows and everything else, and I just you know, I do what I can do, and I try to support everything, you know, that I do watch. But there are times that, you know, there comes a time where you can only say so much. So anyhow, I guess I'm gonna end this because I didn't really want to be on that long anyhow. But uh, I will say this, that the WWE really needs to shock everyone, and I think the biggest shock of all would be for John Cena heel turn. Um, you know, I've always had it in the back of my mind that I would sort of like it, but he gets so much hate now. I mean, why wouldn't they do it? I mean, seriously, why wouldn't they do it? I think even if he didn't turn heel, the kids are still going to like him anyway. They're not all that naive. Um, and I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. So, anyway, regardless, peace out, everybody. Have yourself a great Wednesday night. And I'm going to really try and watch some of TNA's Go Home show tonight. So, we'll see y'all later. Peace out.